What's up? How's the Legion of Comic Collectors doing today? Well, today we're taking a look at my Batman comic book collection part 5. This is going to feature Batman Gotham Knights, a complete run, and my favorite Batman series, maybe my favorite series of all time, Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. And starting off here, I will point out keys as we go, but I think there's a whopping 2 keys in all of these series. And starting off here, we have the New 52 Legends of the Dark Knight. This, I believe, was all digital first and then printed into 100-page giants. So pretty cool. Something I'm actually thinking of doing. I probably reread Legends of the Dark Knight up to like 40. And then reread now up to 90. And I'm thinking of starting over again and just going story by storyline and doing a series and breaking it down, talk about it, reviewing it. If that's something you'd be interested in, let me know down below. But that's it for the volume 2, the 100-page giants, and we go into Legends of the Dark Knight. So this was a really cool series. What I like about it is you have a rotating cast of artists and creators, and the stories could be set pretty much anywhere in Batman's timeline, just telling you a good story. Really, really good stuff. It is in this prestige format they were doing back then. And something pretty cool about it, it was the first ongoing Batman solo title in 40 years. This came out in 1989 to coincide with Batman 89, the movie. And they actually did it again with Shadows of the Bat, being the 4th series, coinciding with Batman Returns. In a way, it's a pretty basic marketing, a smart thing to do, but you don't see that in comics nowadays. But I really, really love this series. And I'm not going to tell you it's perfect. You know, with the rotating artist, you do get some weird art sometimes. But man, there's just some good stories that really just explore different things with Batman. This here is a crossover with Batman and Detective. But I believe it was showcasing an artist that did fancy cityscapes in the background. But even something like this, here we are, issue 28 through 30, with Two-Face, the first time you even really see one of the, main Batman villains. They were able to just tell a lot of great stories without relying on the normal villains you see all the time. And it does get bogged down by crossovers, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. It is a long series too. Here we get Poison Ivy. But I do really just kind of want to go, just take this series by series, the different creative teams. Here we get Catwoman. where it's set in Batman's timeline, different stuff like that. And we get the Joker on issue 50. But you see, like, there's 2 one-issue stories. And we go into a 2-issue story. That's one of my favorite, Tau. Another 1-issue story. This is one I just read. Terrible art. But man, the story is almost like they ripped off Future State Gotham straight from that story. So then you get into some Night Quest tie-ins here. So it does get bogged down by the occasional tie-in. And then we're right back to telling stories. A little 1-issue story. 0 for the 0-year tie-in. And then a pretty famous Going Sane story. Another story that I kind of feel Batman White Knight was almost taken directly from, reworked. This was a really cool story as well. Werewolf. Another thing about this series, talking about not seeing a lot of the same villains. I think it was 100 issues before you even see, like, Robin. Like, it really just focused on Batman. And telling just different stories about him. Idols was an amazing story. Conspiracy was another really good story too. Now we get a Clayface. And this is set way early in Batman's timeline. Like, I think he's only been Batman for like 3 weeks in that story. Here's a Batman story called Stories. There's so much variety in this. And in my opinion, so many classic stories. And here you see the first time Robin pops up. Of course, except for the Night Quest tie-ins. Tie-ins just ruin a story, or ruin a series. And we get the beginning of a Riddler. Big O story. Five-part Riddler, I believe. Nope, I guess just 3. Shipwreck. Looks like a one-shot. And here we go. What really even sucks about these No Man's Land tie-in, it doesn't move in a line. Like, here, this is part of Fear and Faith. The next issue, Bread and Circuses, like, the storylines move through the books. So you'd have to get 3-4 different series out. Issue 120 is the first appearance of Cassandra Cain as Batgirl. So just 0 flow during the tie-ins. Like, I believe Shadow of the Bat's already ended now. It ended at No Man's Land. Then we get back to our normal program with the Green Arrow crossover. Old-timey story. I seem to remember Siege was really good too. Like, I haven't read this far in my read through, but I've read all these stories so many times. And we get a Hugo Strange. Looks like you get to see a whole bunch of Bat villains in this crossover. And then this is a pretty cool crossover. The Demon Laughs. So the Joker and Ra's al Ghul. Storyline called Bad. And then a Robin-centered story called Grim. Which also kind of reminds me, she reminds me of the lady, the villain called, I believe, Mama from Batman and Robin Eternal. And then probably one of the more famous, awesome storylines, Blink. Fantastic stuff. Loyalties. Looks like just a classic thing. Then we get Altruism. Really starting to see the Joker pop up more. And then we get a sequel. Don't Blink. That almost tends to be the trend. When a Batman title starts losing sales, you start seeing the Joker pop up a lot more. You just go back to the well. And it seems like this was almost a story, really good story, but almost seemed to be set in the current continuity of the time. Whereas opposed to a lot of these stories jumped around. But a really cool story. Testament. Catwoman. This don't even have a story title on the front. Looks like we get some Batgirl. And then some more tie-ins to War Games. And then another Riddler 5-parter. Riddle me that. We get Mr. Freeze. We go from a Mr. Freeze story directly to another Mr. Freeze story. Blaze of Glory. Joker story. Old-timey Clayface here. And it looks like Mr. Freeze again. And then I think another more current continuity stuff, I think, ends this out. Almost through Legends of the Dark Knight. Epic series. Maybe another older story there. They quit putting the names of the stories on the front. So first Deadshot, that ends volume 1. And then you get the regular Legends of the Dark Knight, not the 100-page giant, volume 2 here. Same kind of premise that ran during New 52. And there is a volume 3. I think I only have 4 issues of. Not keeping up with it. That I won't show in this video. But this series didn't do too well. Just 13 issues. Drew a New 52. I don't seem to remember too much about it. But then Gotham Knights is another series I have with this. Really, really great series. At least the beginning. And it really did take the time to explore the Bat family. Different interactions. And it had a backup Batman Black and White, which of course you know we had the minis of. But this explores his relationships with the Bat family. I mean, different villains. A lot of really cool stuff. It, of course, is plagued by tie-ins as well. But the series did kind of shift in tone later on, as most do. But you just got a lot of great interactions, you know, with the different heroes. I'd definitely rank this up there as far as all-time favorites for a whole series. We get some more tie-in stuff. This is the first appearance of a villain called the Mortician. He can raise people from the dead. Cool storyline with Bane. Spoiler. Huntress and Checkmate. Very cool stuff. I think this went 70-ish issues. And even by now, it's sort of changed its style, the type of book it is. It even drops the Batman Black and White at one point. But it was overall pretty good all the way through. Some more Bane. And especially right here, it really changes. You actually get a couple of Hush storylines at the end. It might just be one. You know, there's a lot of issues. But it pretty much all ties together. Between Hush and Joker here. We get War Games tie-ins. Some more Mr. Freeze. More Hush. Very Hush heavy. If you like Hush, the end of this series is for you. A lot of cool covers though. Clayface. So we're coming to the end. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you like this content, please give this video a thumbs up and think about subscribing if you have not. And with that, I will see you all later.